Oh, Tannenbaum. Oh, Christmas tree. What a great Christmas tune. So we're going to talk about how to play Oh, Christmas Tree step by step in this video. If you would like to download the music for this and 30 other pieces or 29 other pieces as well, Christmas tunes, then you can do so at the link below. It's got tabs and the lyrics and the chords. So if you just want to strum and carol, then it's got that as well. And it's got the tabs and notation for the solo arrangement. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, is the solo guitar arrangement of this piece. So first off, let's take a listen. Okay, great. And you can just play that as many times as you want to. You can just repeat it, loop it at will. So first off, as we get started, let's just take a view from 30,000 feet and just take a look at the page of music here. So what do we have going on here? So up here you can see the chords, C and G7, and there's some other chords over here. So if you would like to play the chords, there they are for you, the chord names. We also have this F right here. What does that mean? It means loud. But if you know this piece and if you're playing this piece, chances are you know how it goes and you know that it's strong. It's a fun, lively romp. Looking also at here, we can see this right here, which is a repeat sign. That means that we play this first line twice and then we go through the other lines. And whenever you're playing it, you'll hear it. You'll hear that that's how it goes. The other thing that we can notice is this rhythm right here. And so while you know how to sing it, da, 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 that's the rhythm and that's how it's written. We'll also talk about how to actually count that, clap it and count it as well, just so that you know for certain where the note falls. There's also another thing that you'll realize in playing this is that from this point right here to the end, it's actually exactly like the first line. So really, we just have these first 4 bars and then these second 4 bars, and then it plays the first 4 bars again. So 2 pieces, 2 parts of this, 2 sections, and so we'll take a look at each of those in turn. Let's jump into that now. So let's talk just a little bit with rhythms and how to clap and count rhythms and how it's laid out on the page. This falls under the umbrella of music theory. So if you want to let your eyes glaze over and just ignore this and you know how the song goes because you can sing it and you just want to play the rhythm according to that, then kudos to you. Hats off, and I encourage you to do that if you'd like to. But let's talk about the rhythm anyway. So this, first off, just this rhythm right here, and then we'll talk about that little lone note sitting out here. This rhythm is a dotted 8th note and then a 16th note. And so if we split up 16th notes, we count that 1, E, and And so then the notes fall on the 1 and the So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and. So that's how you clap and count 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a, like that. So you can also just sing it. Oh, Christmas tree, and then you'll know it, and you can just play it like that. But to be precise, 1 E and a 2 E and a. We also have this note hanging out, and this is a funny thing if you don't know what it is. So here are bar lines, right? And between these, we have 3 beats between each of them. And that's what this 3 on the top means. However, we have this 1 hanging out in the front, and this is called a pickup note. And so this is actually the 3rd beat of a bar that's just been going on in the universe. And we're just happen to be coming into it right then. And that's the O. So the beat is 3. And if you'll notice over here at the end, we have a bar with just 2 beats. And that is because that's the 2, that's the 3. So then we have 1, 2. And so whenever we're looping it, it makes perfect sense. You stand in splendid beauty, oh Christmas tree. So that it all fits, but it looks funny on the page. It has a pickup note, and then we have a partial bar at the end. Well, now let's talk about just how to play this. Let's get our fingers on the guitar. So when you're playing a vocal piece, it's nice to just play the melody first off, because that's the most important part. It doesn't matter if you put in all these bunch of fancy chords and bass notes and everything else. If the melody falls apart, everyone will know it, because everyone knows "Oh Christmas Tree." Or if they do, they do. But a lot of people know "Oh Christmas Tree." So if they know the tune and you start playing the melody and the melody falls apart, well, then it's wrong, even if you played all these fancy bass notes. So get the melody right. And so just play through the melody notes first. You can tell melody notes generally in music notation and guitar notation because the stems point up. This isn't always the case, but these notes are pointing up, the bass notes are pointing down. And so usually the melody is stems up, and so you can just look for which ones have the stems up. This isn't 100%, but it's a lot of the time. So then looking at that, so we have 3, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. You just play that and just get it in your ear, get it in your fingers, how you know how that goes. Don't get attached to the way that you're playing it in your fingers, but just where the notes are, because there's something funky gonna happen in this third bar that we'll talk about in just a minute. But before that, let's put the bass notes along with this first part. So the chords here are informative. This is a C chord, and so if you know a C chord, then think about that as you're playing it. You can just put it on to get ready if you'd like to, because that can put you in position for. So to start that off, you could just practice just that bit. When you're playing 16th notes like this with the right hand, if you try to play that quick note with the same finger, it's going to mess up the timing. You're not going to be able to do it. It's going to be too fast and you're going to lose time on that. So with your right hand, switch fingers. If you're first playing with the index finger, then go to the middle, or vice versa. I play it this way so that the index finger plays the 3rd string, then the middle plays the 2nd string, and then quick index middle. So that's the way to use the right hand so that you keep that rhythm nice and crispy. So then put the thumb along with it. Then we're going to go to this, the 2 and 4 on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, the 4 on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then back to our C shape with the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then the top open string. So just that much, we have our shapes. We have, so you could just practice those. Just back and forth. And that'll help you practice that switch. It'll help if you're not too far angled. So if you glue this part of your finger right here to the side of the guitar, it's going to make this piece much more difficult. Instead, let your hand keep some space in it under the neck. Don't touch the neck with the base of your fingers here, unless it's actually in the music to do so, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for here, Just get those movements there. Going back and forth between these two is a great one to practice. And you can just practice going back and forth. That's going to be a whole lot quicker to just take the problem, which is to move between these two pairs of notes. Take that problem and just zero in on it, just on the problem. Even though there's this rhythm and everything in the actual music, take it out of the music and just go back and forth. And that's going to make it much faster. So then moving on then, same thing with the right hand. And so then, once we get into this point right here, we need to get that first finger down to the first fret of the 6th string, all the way down to that low note. And so again, you can just practice those 3 notes, getting into it. So that'll be the joinery between those 2 measures. We go back to the E, and here is the funky bit. This is called a hinge bar, HB. And so check this out. So we're here. We're gonna play this top note right here, the first fret on the 1st string. We play that with the open D. So we have the notes are, but if we lift the index finger to move it over there, we're gonna clip that bass note. So instead of doing that, then you can just play what's called a hinge bar. And so then that just, you play it with the side of your finger. This is an advanced technique for you. If you keep laying it over, you won't be able to play that open string along with it. So you have to get up on. So just practice that over and over, just those 3 beats, so that you get that move down. From there, down to the G, the low 3rd fret on the 6th string with the open B, and then that's gonna hop. We try not to hop fingers, but sometimes we hop fingers. So we wanna practice that move right there as well. And here we're talking about these 2 notes right here. So if you'll notice, we're just taking each of the little problems as they occur, doing it a bunch of times and getting it in the fingers, and then we'll string it back together. So we have, so the whole line. Hinge bar. So really, this is a whole string of little challenges strung together. And so the way to play it cleanly and the way to get good at it and to clean it up so that you can play this quickly is to focus in on each one individually and then put them back together. And chances are there'll be one that kind of resists the polish a little bit, so you'll spend a little bit more time on that one. Some of them will be easier, so just go through and just do that kind of practice. This is called deliberate practice. It's really good for getting better at the guitar. It's not so great to just play it over and over and over again. Just play the line and sight read it, or just like read the notes and just keep running it over and over and over. That doesn't really get you very much better. This is a better way. Right, so then this line repeats. And so we do the exact same thing again. And then this is also the last 4 bars. So all the work that you're putting in, it feels like it's slow at the first, right? Because we're doing this and we're saying, well, I've got a whole page of notes going on here. I can't spend all this time on just 2 notes and practice going between 2 notes. But really, it's a much better way, because you're going to play it again in just a minute, because that line repeats. Then you're going to play something else. Then you're going to play it again. And if you repeat this a few times, then these little problems that you're working out here, you'll end up playing 6 times or more over the course of the piece. Well, now let's go to the second line, the second half of this piece. So we start off the same way in that we have this pickup note because the last measure had 2 beats, so now we have another beat. We're gonna have a rest for the first half of that beat, and then we're coming in with your branches. So this is the and of 3. So 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and. We can put an and right there. So clapping this line, then we have 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. This bass note just happens on 3. We didn't mention that in the first line, but it does there as well. So you can just keep counting and place that. It's tempting on the long notes here and here to stop counting so that you just kind of get there and 1 and 2 and then stop counting. But that's the most important time to keep counting because your entrance needs to happen right on time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. So keep it focused in your clapping and counting. If you're doing that, keep it going. Okay, so let's take a look at this melody line first, just like we did at first. So we have 3 and 1. So now we're starting with that G, so that 3rd fret on the 1st string. And so coming up, open, take that moment to move up to the 5th fret with the little finger. And then come back down 2 frets to the 3rd finger again. So you can just practice that if you'd like to. 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2. So play that melody a few times just to get it in your head. It's always, I don't have it brought up here, but play the next note. The next note is this same, it's again, so if this was the bar line, there's another one there, another F on the other side. But it's nice to cross over that bar line because it sounds better in your practice. Moving on then, we can put that 3rd finger down. This little bit of a stretch right here. You have to tilt your hand just a little bit to get that little finger here on the 3rd fret, and then that 3rd finger all the way down to the 5th string, the 3rd fret. You have to tilt your hand. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you can do it. So now, square up and come up here. So then we have the 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string here, and then the little finger up top. So practice that move, certainly. One of the ways to make this smoother and listen to it is that ideally there's always something ringing whenever we have this. So we want to listen to the note that's ringing out while our finger lifts and moving it in the air. And in this case, it's the open 1st string. Keep that ringing, so don't mute that out because we're letting go of the bass note. We have to get up here, right? So we have listen to that open string, connect to that. That's why we play the melody and listen to the melody. The connection of that open string to the 5th fret is going to determine how smooth this section sounds. As opposed to, if there's a big gap here, by placing the left hand finger down before it's time, or the right hand finger preparing before it's time. So on this, we just want to pull it right out of the air. Boom. And also wait as long as you can to move. It's something to practice. Just let your ear be the guide as to how well the top note, that melody, is connecting. And then back down. And so that 2nd one's much simpler because we just have the open 4th string while playing the melody. So the whole thing here. So 3 and 1 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and this brings us to measure 7 then. And so we've just had so this is our last bit. Remember, at this point, right here, it starts repeating again. So we really just have this bar and a half right here to work with. So here we have, it's like a G7 chord, G7 shape, right? So we have a hop here in our melody. So we have the 4th finger needs to hop from the 3rd fret on the 2nd string right over to the 3rd fret on the 1st string. And so then that's something to practice, is just hopping right on the tip. So this is a big stretch if you haven't been doing it very much. This stretch from the 3rd fret of the 6th string with the 1st finger up here, if you try to lock your hand up here like this, it's going to be a really big stretch. Let there be space in your hand, and that'll help. And it's okay to play on the side of this index finger when you're playing that. Kind of, you can see the little notch in my finger. It's important that your pinky is able, your little finger is able to stay curved so that it can be agile and catch that. That is a move, and that has some stretch. So definitely practice that little bit. Then make sure that you keep holding that high note while we go to the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Listen for it. Ba, this note. And then we're back to the C. So lots of little issues, again, just like the first line, one after the next. But think of them separately and then just work them in your practice. That little moment, this little moment, and that little moment. Be careful that you don't hop right here. Keep that 1st finger playing, because you can easily go. Because you're moving the bass note, you might want to lift that 1st finger, but don't do it. Keep it pressed. Hold it and listen to it. And then, just like in the very first line. And that's "Oh Christmas Tree." That's "Oh Tannenbaum." So it's a short piece as far as, you know, the differences of music goes. It's really only like 8 bars long. The first 4 that repeat, and then the next 4, and then we play the first 4 again. So it's really only 8 bars of material, but it's action-packed and has a lot of little spots to practice in there. So enjoy it. Again, if you would like to download this music, then feel free to find the link below, and you can download 30 pieces, 30 Christmas tunes, holiday tunes, really, mostly in the Anglo tradition, but for some other ones as well, Hispanic, Spanish, and South American pieces as well. And so do that and enjoy playing some Christmas tunes. It's a lovely, I love holiday music because it's so joyful and the message is always so positive. Unlike a lot of other music where it's not as positive. I just love a happy song. So hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Good luck in your playing of "Oh Christmas Tree," and best of luck in all your practice. Take care. Bye-bye.